I have a problem. I love the cute aesthetic of cozy games. They're beautiful, relaxing, and are a great way to wind down at the end of the day. But I can only take so much before the coziness starts to put me to sleep. I crave something with a little bit of grit and danger. And this is where survival games come into play, offering tranquil exploration, crafting, and base building mixed with challenging survival elements like hunger, health, and enemies. But are there actual cozy survival games that blend the aesthetic and relaxation of cozy games with the spicy challenge of survival, yet aren't overly focused on combat and have adjustable settings to temper the difficulty? Well, yeah, there are. And I'm kind of obsessed with sifting through Steam and Reddit to find these so-called soft survival games for PC, Steam Deck, Xbox, PlayStation, and even Nintendo Switch. So I present to you 31 chill and cozy survival games that offer soothing exploration, crafting, and resource gathering, but with gentle survival or difficulty settings that can adjust the level of intensity so even cozy gamers can enjoy survival games. And of course, this dork put them in alphabetical order and with chapters too. Our first game is Aloft, a brand new cozy survival game for PC featuring floating islands that you explore and can turn into your base and sail through the skies, cleansing the environment and uncovering ancient secrets. Aloft can also be played with up to 8 players, and what's incredibly unique is you'll bring your floating island base with you when you join friends. From what I played in the demo, Aloft offers a nice mix of relaxing survival and investigation with a manageable amount of combat, and I really enjoyed the animals, flying, and creativity of turning an island into an airship base. From floating islands to floating in space, scavenging for resources to build bases, tools, machines, and vehicles is Astrometica, a new space survival game for PC. Its premise is a bit cliche, as you pop out of an ejected emergency pod and are left to investigate your environment and use the materials you find to craft into survival tools. I played the demo and it was fun and pretty relaxing, but as an early access title, it could use some more content and just that special pizzazz to make it stand out. Astroneer is another space-themed survival game, but is super cute and cartoonish and available on every platform. It's got all the survival staples like exploration, base building and crafting, plus a bit of terraforming and vehicle construction, alone or with friends. Just a fair warning, I found the Astroneer tutorial very lacking, so be prepared to watch some YouTube videos and learn how to play unless you have a friend to show you the ropes. Astroneer is one of the cutest survival games and I want to love it, if I could just have the patience to learn it. Fun fact, it's actually the game pictured in the thumbnail for this video. At first glance, Enshrouded does not look cozy, as it's a dark medieval survival game with combat, but there was a huge update last summer that brought difficulty settings to the game, allowing players to adjust combat, hunger, and resources and focus more on exploring and base building. And boy, does Enshrouded have awesome building mechanics. If you want to build an amazing, authentic medieval homestead, Enshrouded is a stellar pick, and you can play with up to 16 players too. Forever Skies is another multiplayer survival title, but its claim to fame is you pilot an airship that serves as your base as you float above a post-apocalyptic Earth, scavenging for resources, maintaining your ship, building machines, and uncovering the story of what caused our civilization to collapse. What makes it a tad cozy is the minimal combat and 4 different difficulty settings from easy mode to permanent death. I bought Forever Skies during last winter's Steam Next Fest sale and have yet to play it, but the frequent updates it's been receiving during early access are popping it to the top of my playlist. Next up, we have a game that's reminiscent of
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
We're all the size of boogers!
Dad, don't eat me!
Grounded shrinks you to the size of an insect and tosses you into the backyard to battle your way through giant bugs, crafting tools and weapons to survive, and investigate what caused your shrinkage. And it wasn't the cold pool water. Grounded has a wonderfully engaging story, beautiful cartoon-style graphics, difficulty settings, and can be played with up to 4 players. And your friends can play in your shared world even when you're not playing, which is fantastic. I will caution that it can be a bit overwhelming to play solo, which is why I stopped playing after 5 hours, but I highly recommend it as an amazing survival adventure for you and your friends, as long as you don't have entomophobia. This next game literally has cozy survival in its title. I Am Future is a relaxing post-apocalyptic survival game with cartoonish water world vibes. You wake up from your cryogenic freeze pod on a rooftop without any idea what happened to civilization and must scavenge for parts to construct a sustainable base and begin searching for answers to this mystery. There's fishing, building futuristic machines out of scrap, gardening, cooking, and plenty of exploration in this fun title for PC and Steam Deck. The team recently added a difficulty slider humorously titled Coziness Level, which allows you to adjust your hunger as well as the various enemies like weeds, leeches, and contamination. This is some pretty impressive adjustability. But if an authentic survival experience is what you seek, check out The Last Plague Blight, which is a new Steam Early Access title that costs under $20. I've only played about an hour of the demo, but what stood out to me is the realistic survival experience, pleasant graphics, full controller support, and a unique top-down and third-person viewpoint, which I love because first-person survival games make me feel claustrophobic, and I can't tell what's happening around me. Some other neat features are the ability to turn on labels to help you find harvestable items, and a yellow fog called the Blight that is suffocating the land and you need to figure out how to stop. There will be animals to battle and tame and rather primitive options for creating your base camp, but there are difficulty and playstyle settings as well as a tutorial to provide support to new players and those who seek a milder survival experience. The Last Plague Blight is on my shortlist for new chill survival games in 2025. LEGO Fortnite is a free-to-play multiplayer survival game that's within Fortnite but is a totally separate mode, and it seems to be a bit of a hidden gem of a cozy survival game. It has many difficulty modes and settings, and even a full-blown cozy mode, and you can grant your friends access to your world so they can play even when you're not in-game. There's numerous biomes to explore, gardening and farm animals, and of course tons of base building options using Lego pieces, placing them creatively or using blueprints. There's combat and lots of enemies if you want them, or you can focus on building and crafting with minimal survival. This would be my top survival game recommendation for those with kids wanting to join in on the fun for its recognizable LEGO and Fortnite characters, highly customizable survival settings, and a completely free price. Lens Island is an open-world survival and crafting game that's fairly light on survival and is also an action RPG with a skill tree to progress through and plenty of crafting, homesteading, and exploring a procedurally generated world. I wasn't sure whether to include Lens Island on this list because of its dungeon crawling, but the building, crafting, and graphics are so charming, and it's one of those games that began as a solo developer's passion project and continues to push out consistent updates on the way to the 1.0 release, which is scheduled to happen in 2025, by the way, so I'm truly rooting for it to succeed. And when I saw Lens Island now has controller and Steam Deck support, multiplayer in the works, and customizable difficulties to subdue the combat and survival elements, I knew I had to share it. And as soon as it goes on sale, I'm buying it. Before you yell at me in the comments, I know Lightyear Frontier isn't a survival game. It's more of a farming and life sim that seems like it should be a survival game. But I'm letting it slide in this list because it's an environmental cleanup game with open world exploration, crafting and base building, plus awesome graphics, creative wildlife, and a really cool mech that you get to walk around in. So it has a lot that I think lovers of cozy survival games are likely seeking. Although I bought the game, I played very little of it because it was missing that danger factor to support continued excitement and motivation to play. but it's a really pretty, cute, futuristic, and almost overly relaxing game with consistent updates. Much less relaxing is The Long Dark, which released back in 2017 and is undoubtedly an iconic, authentic winter survival experience that's available to play on all platforms. You can buy the Long Dark survival and story modes together, or just the survival mode, which from what I understand is arguably the best mode currently, and it has customizable difficulty settings. But even with the ability to adjust the gameplay, I'd say The Long Dark is more of a thoughtful, atmospheric survival game rather than an easygoing, cozy experience. In case you missed the announcement back in December, The Long Dark has a sequel called Black Frost, which will be a co-op subsequent chapter of the game, but won't launch until sometime in 2026 after The Long Dark is officially complete. A cuter and less serious survival game is Longvinter, which I can best describe as Animal Crossing mixed with Rust. Explore the many islands, craft weapons, fish, and gather to complete your item collections, and be the first to grab the loot and use it to build your base. The looting is so much fun in this game, and another unique aspect is you're surrounded by other players staking their homesteads on the islands of Longvinter. You can choose to play on a PvP server and use turrets and weapons to defend your base, or enjoy the relaxing PvE servers, which is my favorite experience. I'm continuously amazed that Longvinter never seems to get the love it deserves. I have over 260 hours in the game and simply adore the cute art style, ability to chat and wave at fellow players, and building up my adorable house and hoarding tons of loot, which you can sell in little vending machines. Longvinter on PvE servers is what I consider to be the epitome of a cozy survival game, and its official 1.0 full release, which has taken 3 long years, is planned for this winter. Medieval Dynasty is another one that cozy gamers might really enjoy, and it's different because it blends some city building with survival and non-linear sandbox gameplay that's even tempered. There's plenty of crafting, hunting, buildings to create and decorate, village residents and products to manage, and survival elements to balance alone or with up to 3 other players. I have not yet played Medieval Dynasty, but it's a game I consistently see recommended to those wanting a fairly calm survival game with a focus on building. Mirthwood is a game I can absolutely speak from personal experience about because I've played the heck out of it since its release 2 months ago. Mirthwood has a little bit of everything. It's a medieval RPG with farming, homesteading, combat, exploration, NPC interactions, survival mechanics, and the art style is oh so delectable. Mirthwood has perplexingly mixed reviews on Steam, though some are from people disgruntled over the missing early access nomenclature, since the game still has a lot of content to come and released with a few bugs. But I slapped the game into easier combat and survival modes, have completed all the currently available quests, and enjoyed over 50 hours of gameplay while looking forward to marriage, children, pets, and more quests and events to be added later in 2025. Sure, it has some quirks, but still made my top 10 games list for 2024. Like Mirthwood, No Man's Sky had a rather rocky launch, but since 2016, it's become an iconic title in the survival genre, listening to its player base and molding the game into a gorgeous, procedurally generated space universe that can be explored to no end. Build a base and ships, explore a bazillion planets, choose from various difficulties, and now there's cross-play, cross-save, and multiplayer with all the major platforms. Now, if you aren't fond of sandbox-style open-world games, you might find No Man's Sky a bit repetitive and lacking direction, but for those who want endless space survival and exploration, No Man's Sky is an absolute must-play. It is a $60 game, but it often goes on sale with a pretty hefty discount. And if you aren't one of the 18 million views on the developer's next survival game, Light No Fire, you need to take a look and slap this baby on your Steam wishlist. This trailer literally gave me chills, and it's actually giving me chills just thinking about it again, so go watch it. I hesitated to include Once Human on this list, but it has some very enticing features if you can live with engaging in some combat. It's a free game with optional season passes and cosmetics, difficulty modes to help customize the combat, PvP or PvE servers depending on whether you want to fight other players, but here's the awesome part. Search for Once Human Cozy Base on YouTube and take a look at the results. Yeah, you can build some breathtakingly gorgeous bases, all for free, so there's no doubt plenty of chill aspects to this survival game. Palia is another game with aesthetic base designing, and it's completely free to play on PC and Nintendo Switch, but it's very light on survival elements. There's hunting animals and eating for energy, but it's really a cozy game with farming, decorating, and exploring in an MMO-style open world. And that's one aspect I really enjoyed in Palia, being around others and being able to work together to hunt or collect resources. So if you want a really beautiful, super cozy game with some survival aspects and oodles of updates, Palia's a great choice. Another great choice, scratch that, a terrific choice for a chill survival game is Palworld, which was my #1 game of 2024. It has a little bit of everything. A stunningly pretty, enormous open world of islands to explore, creative base building, pals to collect, tame, and manage, and of course combat and survival elements with a beyond impressive settings interface to make the game as easy or difficult as you like. This is no doubt my saving grace, as I wouldn't play Palworld without my cozy settings to create a pretty, relaxing game with a few exciting moments of combat to beat pals into submission or fight a boss here and there. I mostly focus on finding cool pals, creating cute cozy bases, and seeing what treasures I can discover in this expansive fantasy world. It's tough to top Palworld, but the Planet Crafter is right up there if you play on PC or Steam Deck. It begins with the cliche, crash your ship into a planet and survive premise, surrounded by resources you need to harvest and craft into tools and machines to build a base to survive. The twist, however, is that as you progress and introduce more oxygen, heat, and pressure into the atmosphere, your planet begins to transform from a barren wasteland to a luscious oasis, which you eventually learn was your purpose all along. Yes, there's a pretty cool story behind this one, and I don't want to give it away, but Planet Crafter is just so well done. From the vibrant graphics and relatively easy to grasp mechanics to 10-player co-op, and my favorite, seeing your hard work pay off in not only the development of your base, but witnessing your surroundings blossoming into paradise. It's not easy or overly difficult, not too scary or overly cozy, it's just right. And there are difficulty settings to boot. Raft is another very chill and cozy survival game that my kids and I have played for dozens of hours. I love to upgrade the base, grow crops, cook and purify water, and they love scavenging for resources on the islands we discover as our makeshift raft traverses a post-apocalyptic water world. We enjoy playing Raft in peaceful mode, where we can swim without being attacked by sharks, but you can certainly bump up the difficulty if being gnawed to death is your jam. There is some combat as you explore the islands and an underlying story. It's another really well-crafted survival game that isn't too complicated to learn, has attractive cartoon-style graphics, and it recently released on console too. Now, Rust, it's kind of the antithesis of a cozy survival game, but it's undoubtedly an iconic game. You start with nothing but a rock and a torch and have to figure out how to survive with other players who want to shoot you on the spot and steal everything you loot and craft. It's vicious, but there are community PvE servers you can join. So while it definitely isn't designed to be a relaxing survival game, it provides a realistic survival experience that stands out due to its ability to be played more as a community once you explore the PvE options. The same publisher that brought us Raft is also behind Scrap Mechanic, and you can see the graphical similarities right away. Scrap Mechanic is a sandbox game where you can tinker with parts and build pretty amazing vehicles. And there's 3 different game modes from creative to challenge and survival. It's a paradise for lovers of Lego Technic who are mechanically inclined and love to engineer things. And the newish survival mode is a bit buggy, but still pretty good fun. So it's no doubt a cozy survival game amongst other things. But Scrap Mechanic is one of those games that seems to be in early access limbo for nearly 10 years now with only occasional updates. If you can snag it on sale, it's a fun, different game with multiplayer and is quite family friendly. Just don't have overly high expectations. Smalland Survive the Wilds is an open-world survival crafting game with an obvious parallel to the game Grounded. Although you weren't shrunk, you're a species of tiny people trying to survive in a gigantic world filled with bugs. But in Smalland, you can tame and turn the bugs into mounts as you explore a massive map of forest and swampland. The building system offers a lot of freedom, and like in the game Aloft, you can take the base you've built in a giant tree to a friend's game and pop it in a tree there, which is a stellar feature. Smalland has some insanely helpful settings too, such as peaceful mode, creature strength, and survival element adjustments. While a lot of people compare Smalland to Grounded, I'd say it is less polished and a little more gritty, but I feel like there's more to explore, and the bug riding and ability to bring your base with you is rather unique. I really didn't want to add any unreleased games to this list, but I'm very confident in this one, backed it on Kickstarter, and I think it has some really interesting features that go beyond the basics. Solarpunk is a survival and exploration game set in a floating archipelago with a heavy emphasis on building cool structures and surviving through crafting energy systems powered by the elements. And you can explore your world in the airship that you craft. This game nails it on a cozy aesthetic and intriguing solarpunk theme, though we will have to wait and see how mild or intense the survival elements will be. Solarpunk is set to make its PC debut this year, and this is exciting. They just announced their first demo launching at the end of February in time for Steam's Next Fest. I'm pretty sure you know this next one, as Subnautica is just about the pinnacle when it comes to underwater survival games. You crash land into the ocean in an escape pod and must figure out how to survive in your new aquatic home. I wasn't fully prepared for the dangerous ocean creatures, and it's downright freaky at night, but there are difficulty settings you can tweak to make it on the cozy side, and it's no doubt an immersive, or shall I say, submersive experience that will excite and terrify you as you build your base, gather resources, and unravel the mystery of what caused your crash. Subnautica is available on all platforms and even has a sequel set to release later this year. It's gonna be big. Another water-themed game is Survival Fountain of Youth, where you're shipwrecked on a tropical archipelago in a primitive era and need to build a shelter, grow food, and explore the 11 surrounding islands by boat and through swimming in dangerous waters. And there's also ancient ruins and temples to inspect as you unravel the mystery of the Fountain of Youth. There is a heavy focus on survival, but the developers did add customizable survival modes and difficulty settings to adapt it to more playstyles. Valheim's another game with pretty impressive survival and base building elements, and it's one of the top recommended survival games. There is combat and bosses you can fight, but you can choose to focus on homesteading, base building, and survival. It doesn't have the cute cartoony graphics like some of these survival games, and it can be downright intense if you want it to be, but there are also difficulty sliders to tone down your experience. Valheim has multiplayer and is often on sale for about $10 on Steam, though you can play it on Xbox and even Mac too. Wait, people actually game on a Mac? Interesting. I promise you, this is not Minecraft, although its beginnings are rooted in modded Minecraft gameplay. Vintage Story is a voxel-style wilderness survival game that heavily focuses on the survival aspect. You can't even buy it on Steam. It's only available on the Vintage Story website, Humble, and itch.io. I bought the game for $22 and tried it out, and although there are a ton of difficulty settings, it still was a struggle to get the hang of the game. I used the tutorial and videos to help me hobble through, but after several hours of frustrating gameplay and wishing for controller support and cloud save so I could pick up my game on another PC, I returned it thanks to the very generous refund policy. Vintage Story's focus on survival and having an official mod hub with free, easy, one-click install mods is impressive, but I just couldn't get past the lack of cloud saves and blocky graphics. It wasn't for me, but it's slowly gaining a very strong following, so if you like the look of it, definitely check it out. I did it again. Voyagers of Nera is another unreleased survival game, but it already has a demo on Steam and is set to release in Q2 of 2025. In addition to survival, base building, mild combat, and even surfing, there are magical spirits that you can rescue and befriend, which reminds me a bit of Palworld, but without the beating into submission. It can be played solo, but with the capacity to co-op with up to 10 players, and the team's goal of making the game easy to host on dedicated servers, Voyagers of Nera is undoubtedly a cozy survival game that's better with friends. I've only dabbled in the demo, but feel like the survival aspect is somewhat forgiving, which further lends to its chill factor. Voyagers of Nera is 100% a cozy survival game to wishlist for 2025. Finally, we have Wildmender, a cozy desert survival game for PC and console. That alone, being a desert-themed game, is rather unique, but what's also different is that you'll scavenge for plants and seeds, take them back to your garden to grow them, and channel water to help them flourish. The world is procedurally generated, so you're not playing the same cookie-cutter game with every playthrough, and the difficulty settings are incredibly generous and can be adjusted on the fly without restarting your save. There are some structures to build, but it's pretty light on the base building. There's crafting, of course, and some combat in the form of evil entities you need to fight. Wildmender is playable with up to 4 players on PC and console and is an extremely beautiful and adaptable mild survival game. Hopefully, you found this list of 31 chill and cozy survival games to be helpful in padding your wishlist with a fresh selection of games that blend calm gameplay with adjustable survival elements. In my opinion, this is one of the best little gaming niches, featuring pretty games with mostly peaceful exploring and creative base building, along with an ongoing challenge to survive, supplying a reason to work on all the other gameplay mechanics. And this vital purpose that survival adds is what I think makes these games so addicting, and is why I enjoy them better than authentic cozy games that offer little challenge and can quickly become so darn boring. I want a game that mentally energizes and challenges me, but to a manageable degree. I want a game whose world is beautiful and immersive, and I think these cozy survival games really scratch this itch. Of course, this is purely subjective, so I want to hear from you. Let's turn the comments section into a resource for cozy survival games, new, old, or upcoming. Please share a game or two, or reiterate which games on my list are your favorites. I actually read all your comments and wholeheartedly appreciate your input. Please consider subscribing if you don't want to miss out on the latest in chill and cozy games, and I thank you for watching.